welcome. You're watching Cricket Buzz Live. My name is Tanay Tiwari. Bangladesh are playing Netherlands in this Super 12 encounter. Bangladesh were put into bat by Netherlands. And, at the end of their 20 overs, the only person happy with that innings is perhaps me, because I'd predicted 145 for them to score in the first innings, and that is what they got. With me, Mr. Zaid Khan, Mr. Joy Bhattacharya. Gentlemen, welcome. And Zach, you'd say they'd be happy, they would have wanted more with this, because at the 10th over mark when we came on Combox with JB, they were 10 overs, 72 for 4th. So they had some sort of a platform set to perhaps go to 150, 160 maybe?
They should have, I think, in this format, looking at the wicket, yes, there was a little bit of seam movement with the new ball. But apart from that, I think they could have easily got to 160, 165, and that's a good total on this track. So I think at this stage, halfway through, Netherlands will be happy for sure. Yeah. They must be thinking they are in with a chance, and their bowlers have done a decent job. They've kept the pressure on, got those early wickets, which really kind of set the tone for their bowling. Tim Pringle was really good with his spin. Baz de Leede finished the innings nicely. He was a bit expensive to start with. But on the whole, maybe they could have stayed away from using that much of a spin when Bangladesh got that momentum. They had the bowling options. They could have used the seamers because they were doing a good job at the start. One over too many, I think, for the spinners. Apart from that, I think they've done a pretty decent job to contain Bangladesh to 145.
Yeah, that's something that you'd also pointed out while we were watching the game. And Afif kind of took liking to the spinners because it was easier to hit as well. These were short boundaries, shorter when you compare them to the other Australian grounds. And yet, with that score on the board, as Zach mentioned, they wouldn't be very happy.
No, it's like an in-between score. It's not completely out of the game, but definitely you would have said that another 10 runs is what they'd be looking at least. And I think they have only themselves to blame, because it's that their batsmen got out trying to play shots. It's not as if their batsmen got out to terrific deliveries or anything, and they were actually got a let-off. If you remember, Afif was dropped in the outfield, and if that catch had been taken, he was their top scorer for 38. Things could have been even worse. So I think they were a bit lucky out there, but look at what wickets does to you. At the end of the day, they ended up in just 38 in their last 5 overs. Yeah. Less than 8 an over. If you have wickets down, this is what happens, because you can't have somebody who's really going to catch you and farm the strike. That is their biggest problem. If they had got 10 and over in their last 5, you're looking at 160.
Yeah, correct. And despite that good a start, and then in the middle overs as well, the problem that Bangladesh really encountered, as Joy mentioned, was the fact that they just kept losing wickets. And there, you've got to give credit to the Netherlands bowlers. And we've talked about this, that this was always going to be the battle between Netherlands' bowlers and Bangladesh's batters. A very strong suit for one team and a weakish suit for the other. And in this battle, you've got to say, despite using that many options, the Netherlands, they've excelled.
They have, and I think Bangladesh will be disappointed with the fact that their batters got a start and then have not really capitalized to turn into a big score, and that's where Netherlands will be happy that they stayed with their processes. They kept things simple. The seamers did the job well, and in the middle overs, the spinners also squeezed them in nicely. Like I mentioned, it was just 1 over too many. Because they were doing well, there was always that temptation for the captain to just carry on with the spin, and that can result in a wicket. But apart from that, I think Netherlands was pretty decent with their processes, I felt.
Yeah, and if you look at that batting card once again, Joy, the one thing that strikes out, and that's something that you have mentioned as well, the two of you, is that there were starts. Look at that. Shanto got a start. Soumya Sarkar got a start. Afif Hussain, of course, was the pick of the batters, but then towards the end as well. And you've got some very good names there. Liton Das spent a lot of time. Shakib Al Hasan was out there for a bit. And yet not one of them could go on to score a 60 or a 70.
Yeah, I think that's a big thing. I mean, when you look at the batting card and you say that of your top, 6 of your top 8 batsmen have got at least 10 balls in. I mean, after that, if you're not scoring runs, it is an issue. And it is, again, not a threatening ground. This is the best possible conditions you can have, 65 and 67, okay? Given the fact that there was a bit of rain, there would be a bit of whatever little dampness there is. It's not that the spinners will get too much grip on a pitch like this. So it's that your spinners are anyway at a disadvantage at this point in time. And I think in these conditions, if you're not going to get 160, 165 against an attack like the Netherlands, then later you're going to be in much more trouble than even this.
Yeah, now, and we talked about this in the pre-match as well, Zach, that there were issues with Bangladesh. Now that we've seen a proper game, a proper innings from their batters, what can you point out? I mean, was it too much shot making? Was it perhaps wanting to go for that 170, 180 total that ended up them ending with, 144 on the board?
I think to adapt to extra bounce is something, which was evident. You look at Soumya Sarkar's shot also, he was in. It wasn't like that was his beginning of the innings and he played that kind of shot. At that stage, if you get out like that, you understand. But you're already in, you got the measure of the conditions, and after that you're getting out to a shot like that, which shows that that you're not ready to play those kind of shots, particularly against this kind of a pace. When you play at against the better teams, you're going to have bowlers bowling quicker than this, probably extracting more bounce than this. So looking at the tournament now and looking at how they've approached so far, Australian conditions, extra bounce, quicker bowlers, extracting more bounce from the pitch, those are the concerns I'm sure Bangladesh will have going forward in the tournament as well, and that's something which they have to figure out how they're going to tackle, because teams are going to strategize against them in that fashion. They're going to keep it simple. Okay, first 6 overs, let's bounce them, let's make them force the issue, and in the process you will build pressure and get wickets as well. So that is something which Bangladesh will have to figure out very quickly.
Yeah, because this group, what Zach mentioned is so true. I mean, with no disrespect to the Netherlands, but there will be other bowling attacks in this group itself who will have more pace, who will have more quality, who will have more bounce, who will have better plans to come at you. And if you've not tried and excel against a bowling attack like the Netherlands, there the problems will only exacerbate.
Exactly, and that's why, you look at this ICC, this ranking for 1 to 8, and the reason that they did not play any tournament was that they won T20 matches, but mostly they won their T20 matches at home in conditions which are very different. And I think what Zach is saying is every batsman who's batting, even Shantu, it's hitting the bat about 2-3 inches above where it's supposed to hit, because they've not adjusted to that extra bounce. Yeah. And when their most experienced player, Shakib, says this is the first time he's playing internationally in Australia, then you can only begin to understand how much of a problem it is for the rest of them. Yeah. That if Shakib is not used to conditions like this, and Shakib has played around the world, then the rest of them have very little chance of adjusting. So I think they would have might have benefited from being in the first stage of first round tournament.
Yeah.
They might have just benefited from, if they had been there and qualified, just getting a bit more understanding of these conditions. Because they went to, New Zealand, and, that series was quite a disaster for them.
Yeah, and also the fact that Bangladesh don't really get a lot of bouncy tracks at home. Those tracks don't really, it's not even half the bounce in Bangladesh. So that's a problem. But now they have 144 on the board to defend. Halfway mark, which team is happier? Which team is saying, okay, is it Netherlands that they're saying we can gun down 145 from here on?
They still need to have a plan. Because you are talking about pace of Tashkent. He's a good quick bowler. Yeah. He can extract and extract some extra bounce and use the conditions well. Mustafizur, of course. Spinners will have to see how the wicket is playing. But the style of Shakib, he's a smart operator. So he's not going to give that pace, even if there is not a lot of turn from the pitch. He knows how to adapt and slow the pace down. So that is something which we have to see how Netherlands batters approach this run chase. Yeah. Because at times what happens when that it's just like run a ball or maybe just higher than that, you kind of approach the chase in a slowish manner, and then suddenly that net run rate, the required run rates can go up. So that's something which we have to wait and see how Netherlands approach this run chase. But looking at the Bangladesh side, their bowling is looking better than their batting for sure.
Yeah,
that's something which is very evident.
That it does. So shall we play the prediction game again? Power play scores for the Netherlands. There's a first ball wicket scare right now. Tashkent did get Wickramadijit. The on-field call is out. We'll get to that. There's a review, but we can do our game in the meanwhile. So then, gentlemen, how many do Netherlands get?
I think Netherlands could be in a bit of trouble if the fast bowlers, because also Mustafizur has a very unique action. People are not used to it. So I'm going to lowball this. I'm going to say 37 in the first 6.
37. Zach?
I think 40 for 2 maybe. I think Bangladesh will be able to extract 2 wickets.
I don't know. I'm feeling very confident today. I'll say 32. I won't tell you the wickets, but I'll say 32 runs is what the Netherlands will get. That's all the time we have on Cricket Live. Thank you, Zach. Thank you, Joy, for joining in. Thank you to all of you as well. We'll see you at the end of the 10 overs with Cricket Combox and then in the end with Cricket Live again. This is Cricket Live. Thank you so much for watching.